My name's Benjamin Taylor, from Columbia, South Carolina, with a AC4 high school. Today I'm talking about the group dialogues we had to do. Mine was privileged through the Clemson lens. Um, Throughout the dialogue, we were talking about the differences between dialogue, a lecture, and a debate, and we're trying to target that how a dialogue is more beneficial than the other two. Um, Throughout the whole new student dialogue, it was actually pretty quiet at times because at first everyone was going in there thinking we were gonna do the what happened to me last night new student dialogue, and it ended up being the privilege to the Clemson Liz. So people were kind of unprepared for it, and a lot of people just kind of didn't really want to give insight on certain things. So at points we were kind of all sitting there pretty silent, just waiting for people to speak up and say something to get stuff moving. But we talked about how the definition of dialogue is an exchange of ideas or opinions on a particular issue, especially a political or religious issue, with a view to reaching an amicable agreement or settlement. And we just kind of talked about if we agreed with the definition and what definitions like we thought fit for it. Um, Throughout the dialogue, we did a couple of different activities that helped everyone kind of see how like some people were more privileged than others, kind of giving specific examples. We talked about um well, actually, we had this sheet and it was like a wheel, and it had like stuff about age and religion and how like wealthy someone was, and we just kind of everyone kind of rated it on their own and talked about how like important each one was to them, like from their perspective, and then we kind of talked about like at Clemson in general, like what certain things were privileged and what weren't. For example, we talked about how a lot of athletes are pretty privileged because they get, of course, special attention sometimes. They get choice of classes before most people. They get treated well by most of the student body because they're known around the school and represent the school here and at other schools around the nation. And so we just kind of talked about how different groups of people were privileged. Like we talked how predominantly white people are more privileged than people of other races just because we're around more. But people of other races also get more attention since they're the minorities, and how I mean we deal with everyone else, want to get to know them, want to know their background and what they're about. And we also talked about how if we thought people like, for example, if cars were privileged, and how that could help or not help people throughout their college career. Personally, I have my own car up here, and I definitely think it's a lot better because whenever you need to go to the store or need to go do something that you need for school, you can just kind of go do it when you want to. It's on you. I kind of like being an independent person, anyways, and not having to rely on other people and ask to borrow cars or ask for rides and kind of pester people about it or anything like that. But and then also another activity we did while we were in the new student dialogue was we all lined up in a row, and our teachers for that session would ask us questions, and if we thought that, or if we did have it, like for example, they would ask if we had a car up here and take a step forward or take a step back, and then like what race you were, take a step forward, take a step back, and then male. And then afterwards, we just kind of talked about how we thought certain questions shouldn't have been asked just because we didn't think they were relevant if you're privileged or not. Like we kind of agreed that being a male or female, I mean, it definitely has its pluses and minuses, but at the same time, it doesn't really yeah, that wraps up my video. Thanks for watching.